Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting of the New Philadelphia Finance Committee to order. It's 4 o'clock. I see that Mr. Kreinbill is here. I see that Mr. Lanzer is here, Mrs. Ramos is here, so we have our committee and our alternates, so thank you for being here today. And thank everybody for coming in. We are here today to discuss an important part of the Finance Committee's responsibility, which is examining how the city operates and uses the money that's entrusted to us by our taxpayers. I want to begin by emphasizing this discussion didn't start a week ago. The public discourse has, but there's been a lot of investigation and discussion that has gone on behind the scenes in analyzing data regarding the regional income tax agencies. So public discussion is rather recent, but this is not something that we've gone into lightly. We've done a lot of due diligence. And our purpose here isn't to come in with a predetermined answer. I don't know what the will of this committee is, and I'm not here to tell you what it needs to be. I'm here to hear all of the options. We're trying to make the best possible decisions regarding how we utilize and collect our taxpayers' money. Okay? The financial question, while significant, is not the only thing that we have to look at. Okay, we're looking at Rita's total cost of collections over the last 8 years runs an average of 1.22% of revenue. They do hold a 3% retainer, but the other 1.8% is sent to you. They don't hold it. They don't keep it. So, looking at past numbers here, ours has run more in the 2 to 2.5, 2.8% of revenue. So financially, okay, maybe it's a good deal, but that's not the only thing we have to consider. We represent the taxpayers in New Philadelphia, so we can't base it just on money alone. Moving to Rita could change a lot of things for our community, for the businesses that are here, and of course, we have to consider that there are people whose jobs are attached to this, and that is not something I take lightly. The people who work for this city are valued and do a great job. This is not a reflection on them whatsoever. It's just looking at, are there more efficient ways to do what the city has to do? So with that in mind, I know there are going to be ramifications regardless of what this body decides. And but the one thing that I do know is maintaining things just as they are probably is not the best interest of what we're trying to accomplish here. That's why due diligence matters, and that's why we're going through this exercise. We have been elected, and we don't have the luxury really of avoiding difficult decisions, and this is one. There's nothing easy about this, but that is our duty. We were sworn to that when we agreed to sit in these seats and signed the paper for the law director saying that we would serve. So our goal today, I hope our discussion can remain focused on that responsibility, doing the best thing for our citizens and for our financial well-being and for the people we represent. I'm here to listen. I'm here to challenge assumptions. I'd like us to talk about facts, not opinions, and use that knowledge then to decide how we move forward. Our goal shouldn't be to sit here and cheer for a side. We're not here to prove one's good and one's bad. There's a difference. Which one is going to work better for us? Okay? Now, I intended to start this meeting by having the mayor report out what he had learned from speaking to a variety of different communities. Unfortunately, the mayor had a conflict come up tonight. He couldn't be here. He called me and told me he wouldn't be here. And I really don't feel comfortable moving forward without the mayor being a part of the discussion. Does the committee agree with that? As far as taking action tonight, I want to discuss it, but I don't think we leave tonight with a motion to do anything until we've heard from the mayor and have all of our information. That just doesn't seem like due diligence to me.
I agree with that.
Are you okay with that,
Absolutely.
committee?
Actually, I'm still working through this
Okay.
myself.
And I want us to work through it. We have to do that. That's why I said there's been no decision made. I need more information. He has some more information. I will share one email he sent me I was joking with people before the meeting started that I pulled off the road to read his email because it came while I was driving here. This is from Matt Wellbaum, the Director of Finance at the City of Urbana, who is a city who started with Rita in 2024. Okay? And Matt tells us, if I can scroll up here, and forgive me for having bad eyesight this close, the OLD kicks in. Urbana did convert to Rita in 2024. I was not a part of that process. I didn't join until June 30th of 2025, so I wasn't here for the initial conversion. But I can answer your questions about what's gone on since. In 2025, the first full year using Rita, our income tax revenues increased by roughly 19% over the previous year. I wasn't here for the transition, but overall, it seemed to go smoothly. There was not much of a backlash to the change. During tax season, he spoke with a handful of people, 5 to 10, who didn't like using Rita. But overall, people seemed to be okay and didn't mind. He has also received pushback from only one CPA firm in town and has not heard from any other. Now, that's anecdotal evidence. But it is one instance of a city similar to New Philadelphia who has made the change. I want to hear from the rest of the cities that he's spoken to. Do you agree? Okay. With that in mind, then, I would open the floor. I did share with the committee and the members of council a Rita due diligence information handout, and this is just information I've collected. It's not the only information that's out there. It's not the be-all, end-all information. It's what I've been able to compile and put together and run through a variety of different systems for analysis. Does anybody have questions on what I presented to you there? And I believe members of the audience also have a copy of that. Because I want you to see what I've been looking at.
Did you ask them the questions you sent to me and Dan? I think you had a list of questions. you were
Yes,
supposed to
yeah.
ask.
Yeah, and he did answer those questions
Oh, they're just not on
in
here.
section 3.
Section 3.
Oh, no, that's the wrong questions. I asked him to provide for me call data, hold times, customer service surveys, and a variety of other information that I tried to summarize in these charts because his email was 3 pages long.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just different than the questions you
Yeah,
gave me.
yeah. So it's information about, I asked him for specific examples of, could you tell me a city who saw an increase in revenue? And he said, we are not at liberty to share that. That would take an information, a public information request, and we'd have to go through those hoops because that would be private information he cannot share.
Who's he?
Rita as a whole.
Oh, okay.
Claudio, yeah. Because I keep hearing anecdotally this, like 19%, 15%, 10%, we had a revenue increase, and that's important for us to consider. But is it a guarantee? I don't know. How often does that happen? How often does it not? I'd like to kind of have that information. Councilman Walker, you've experienced this before. Do you have any input on that?
So, and I can tell you with the increase, that obviously, the first year or two is gonna really, skyrocket.
And then level.
And then it's gonna, level out for sure.
Yes.
Because, everything's gonna get caught up and everybody's gonna be, other than new residents, new businesses, there's really nothing more. Like I said, when I was on Denison Council, Greg DiDonato was on council with me.
Yes.
Who's now mayor in Denison. We voted to bring on Rita. The process was pretty seamless. Getting everything transitioned over to them was pretty seamless. And that first tax year that they were implemented, that we saw a significant increase.
What would you attribute that to?
Well, and again, we're talking Denison, so
Yes.
their systems weren't quite as extravagant as ours, which will get me to another question. But I think just a lot of it was just systems and stuff being missed. At that time, oil and gas was just starting to get rolling.
Okay.
So they were missing a lot of that oil and gas revenue taxing.
Working within the city and-
Yeah.
Okay.
So my question is, speaking of the
Systems?
systems, yes. We were told at council that we have, updated systems that pull all the information, but do we not have an outdated system that needs replaced? Is that correct?
I would refer that to the auditor, I believe we do.
So on this sheet here that I handed out to everyone, this lists everything that Rita says, I copied the list from Rita's sheet that they gave us at that last meeting. And so this is everything that they listed that they have. I highlighted what we do not currently have. The online access, online account access, we could have that at an extra cost. I'm not sure what that extra cost is, if we had the new software. And then the paperless electronic billing available, that would also be with the new software, and the electronic filing of employer withholding and employee W-2s, that is with the new software. However, Carly has talked in the last week with the company that's offering the software, and they have reduced their prices even further to allow for us to.
So we do not have updated software.
No, the software that we currently have is 32 years old, but most of this we still have because we do have online filing.
And with the
That's-
reduced cost of the new software, what is the reduced cost now?
The reduced cost is, I believe it was 66,000 to implement it, and then 4,500 a year to operate.
So the number that I had when we met was 63,000.
There was a $16,000, what was that? Software, license.
So I had to go over and I had him break everything down for me where it was not broken down for me. So it would be the software license and it would be an extra cost, but this is only a one-time fee. And I wanted to make sure the number was correct. When I was looking at, it was my mistake that I didn't fully evaluate it, but yeah, you were correct, it was at 63.
But then it was like the $5,500 on top of that.
He reduced that cost to 45. I talked to him today. He said, I have a meeting at 4, can we work on this together? So.
I appreciate you doing that, thank
I
you.
literally just got the information as it was coming in.
$60,000 for the upgrade we need.
But yeah, we already have online filing, that's not, if we had new software, it would integrate even more seamless. But the current software that houses our accounts is outdated. We've had that for 32 years. And that's the software that we wanted to update. But we already have the e-filing through our website and all these other items.
Are we able to connect to federal taxes to compare residency locations?
So the one thing is, they are big on selling the IRS data access, which that would be awesome to have. But you have to be a big city, but I would think that the State Department of Taxation would also receive that information, which would then pass down to us in the state of Ohio listing.
Do we currently get that?
Yes. And also, according to, we have Ohio Revised Code 718.23 is the verification of accuracy of return. And that authorizes the tax administrator or any of her employees to demand to see the books, to demand to see their federal tax return. So if there was any question, wondering if they are reporting anything, we can demand to see those.
Thank you. Thank you for your input, Mr. Walker. Did you have anything else?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, I knew, having, that you were the one person sitting here who's been through this, I wanted to get your input. Members of the committee, do you have anything you wish to question or discuss at this point?
I will say, based off of conversation with Carly, I did reach out to, I yesterday I talked to 5 different accountants.
Mhm.
They're all local. By the way, they all praised you, Carly, and your team. So they would much prefer us to keep a local income tax department. It's much more enjoyable for them to work with New Philly and Dover than
I'm
we
sure.
do.
Yeah.
So that I wanna make sure that's out there, but, you know,
And that speaks well of our people.
correct. So let's just make sure we know that our staff is doing a
Absolutely.
fantastic job, and they all praised you guys. I was 5 different ones, 2 were at the same company, and then 3 were another company, and all of them praised you guys. So that's good for your crew. So they would prefer that, but at the same time, you know, we're gonna continue to look through this, what's best for the citizen. You know, and generally that did have to do with business returns. The average Joe, I don't think they have the issues with, doing that, but that did, if there was an issue, Rita can be difficult to work through, to get that cleaned up, and it can take significantly longer than working with our local one. So I wanted to make sure that's transparent. Because of what I do for a living, I work with accountants regularly.
Mhm.
I have very good relationships with accountants, and I felt that was important for me, because that is something I completely missed when I started doing my research. I never did reach out to them. So I just wanted to say that, that I did do that, and it was plain across the board that they would prefer us to stay local if it's possible. The one did say, though, that they're more involved also with doing some stuff for municipalities and stuff. You can probably figure out where they're from. They said they have seen cities and municipalities going this route as a cost savings measure, and they understand why it's being considered. But the other 4 were like, please don't do it, so.
Well, and I
but
think the
other
growth
one
in
was
Rita's
understanding.
numbers
Yeah.
indicate that more and more cities are
Yeah,
doing that.
and they did, you know, and another one did say he was totally against us doing it, but he understands this is the way the world's going, and you have to consider it, but he said, please don't, you know.
I would
So-
like it to be easier for me too, Chris.
Correct. So I just wanted to, but I wanted to make sure it was out there.
No, I
because
think it's important that we know that. Thank
That
you.
I think, from my talk, is a factual
Mhm.
thing. You know, we're trying not to be opinion-based, but when I talk to 5 people and they all say the same
Yes.
thing, you know,
Well, even Urbana mentioned a CPA who didn't enjoy it,
yeah,
so
so. But I
That
just
is-
wanted to
that
make
is
sure I
a-
did do that, Carly,
a factor to be
like I
considered.
told you I would, so, yeah.
Mrs. Ramos, you had a question.
Yeah, a few here. So, just, I think we should go the route of tightening up stuff in-house first. And that would be to make sure that we have coordinations with the service director's office as far as the business permits, that are coming in, so that the income tax department knows about that. And also, any licenses for restaurants. I know different things are popping up all over the place, and it's like, oh, that's here this time, it wasn't here last week. And the other thing is, I think you had mentioned, Carly, you got 52 cases that were returned to you, by the prosecutor's office, of delinquent, right, non-filers?
54.
Okay. So I would like to see that tightened up, that they are prosecuted. I had to pay my taxes, I'm not very happy about it, nobody is. But, so, if you owe it, you need to pay it. Do you wanna explain about those 52 cases?
The 54 cases now, I didn't
54.
have those back to me. Those were sent over by previous tax administrators, and then when I came into office, we kind of took it back. And then we started sending it over. Now, some of the previous cases that were sitting over there were just non-filers to prove that we had a W-2 with the address, and our address was a new Philadelphia address. But then we decided to go the other route and work together where we could prove that they do owe us money. And those are the cases that I tried to push through, but nothing was really being done. I mean, I worked with Marvin on this. Finally, we started working like in 2020. I did take office, or my position, in December of 23. So they kind of cut back on it because Vicki was retiring. So they cut back on it. So when come in, I got my feet wet before we started prosecuting. So I do know that the prosecuting cases, we started really, really diving into them. I would say probably 9 of 25, but we still had those being sent over and nothing was being done. So finally, of 9 of 25, like September of 25, the mayor and the law director did know about these cases and businesses that were not withholding local taxes. And that is an ordinance that we have to, even with the businesses, we have to. I tried to deal with all of this, and then finally, we started moving on with this. I mean, we took action in 25, they were sent out, no directions were put out. And then finally, on July 16th of 26, I did get subpoenas. I filled all of those out. I sent over 4 cases because I wanted to start small. We started small because I didn't want to waste, and if these weren't gonna work, I wasn't gonna waste my time doing all of these. So we started small. I sent out 4 cases, but these 4 cases are major cases. These are major cases that are gonna bring in a lot of revenue. So those were sent out. I did the subpoenas, and then I got a direction to go this way on 7/23. Don't send them out certified mail. Use this letter instead. So finally, I ended up sending the letters out on 8/11 with the due date of 8/31 of this month. So, like 4 days, crazy, 5 days, I don't know. I'm so lost anymore with the dates. But, I have yesterday, one of my major cases, a CPA or their accountant did reach out to me, and I was supposed to see all of this in my mailbox or my email by yesterday. I have not seen it, so I am not 100% sure if these due dates, I think we're gonna go the certified mail route, and these are gonna cross, but these are businesses that are not withholding from employees. And everybody knows about these cases. I mean, the law director and the mayor know about these cases because I did my research on those cases. I knew about these cases. We weren't getting reconciliations. W-2s were coming through the windows, showing the local tax being withheld. And then I go to the account and there's no withholding account whatsoever for these businesses. And I try to start, now I'm driving around trying to find these businesses, and like you said, I contacted Nicole. Nicole and I are working together on restaurants right now. I told her, I said, I'll get a play. We can work together. Finally, John Lee upstairs, did just message me today, was like, hey, did you know this? I opened it, so now I'm at another case. But yes, these cases have kind of taken the back road right now because of all this information that I've been trying to research. But head on, I mean, that's what we plan on doing, kind of the whole team, but yes.
Does it take the whole city approach, like, for that?
Yes.
And I did want to say that.
I wanted to take a moment, and did you have a response?
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
I do.
Yes.
The procedures that the city of New Philadelphia, which I implemented, are the exact same procedures that Rita is following. Rita's not filing criminal cases, and that's probably because it's not efficient. What I implemented and what we are doing now is, we send a letter to them, indicating that if you don't respond, there could be, if you don't, well, let me first talk about that Carly has tremendous authority under both the Ohio Revised Code and under our city tax code to get tax information from taxpayers who have filed. And what we do is that I wish I got my reading point because it was in there, and I highlighted it and I showed it to my assistant. I said, look, they're doing the same thing we are. What we do is we send a letter initially, same thing Rita does, and the letter's strongly worded to say that if you don't, you'd be ordered to provide this information to the income tax administrator. And if that information isn't provided, it says that, this could result in subpoenas and potential contempt of court proceedings. And then if you don't respond to that, we send a subpoena, which they're ordered to reply to. If you don't respond to that, then the third layer is that I would file a civil contempt of court motion in the municipal court for them failing to follow a lawful order of the income tax administrator. Here's why that's a better system than taking them to court, in terms of prosecuting them. The most important thing for Carly to get is their tax information. That's what we need. Because once we have that, we can turn that into the Attorney General's office, who can collect it. The Attorney General has authority that I don't have and that the court doesn't have. Neither myself nor the court can intercept people's tax returns and redirect it. They can, so it's critical to get that information. That's what we need to focus on, and that's the same thing that Rita does. And if they're, like I said, if they don't provide that, we're prepared to go after the contempt of court proceedings. But best case scenario, in a municipal court, if we were to take them all the way to the prosecuting stage, they are found guilty, have to pay some sort of fine, and there's really no method for collecting them. There's really no method for collecting them. We don't want to turn the court into what's called a debtor's jail, because jail should be reserved for, I had a domestic violence case that I handled last week, and that's who you want people committing assaults, domestic violence, that's who you want. People with multiple DUIs, that's who you want in jail. You want people who fail to file an income tax in jail, and that's just not realistic, that's gonna happen. Even if I were to take them civilly and all I would get is a judgment entry saying they failed to file their income tax. All I can do with that judgment entry is try to track them down and attach their wages, but even then, I don't have as much authority there. Whereas if we get the records, and keep in mind what happens in a contempt of court proceeding. In a contempt of court proceeding, for failing to follow the lawful orders of the income tax administrator, they can be sentenced up to 30 days jail and fined a $1,000 fine. Now, nobody ever does that, because I've been through hundreds of contempt of court proceedings, both ones that I have filed and ones where I had to defend people that it was filed against. Nobody does that because when they're sentenced to that, they are given an opportunity to purge, which means if you just file your income tax or provide the records that were requested, that all goes away. So very rarely do people want to go to jail or pay a $1,000 fine instead of turning over the records they were supposed to begin with. And that's how that works. And that's why it's much more efficient, because if we get those records, she can do an estimate, she can turn them into the Attorney General's office, and we can get collection. It's much more efficient, it's much more effective, and it's exactly what Rita does. If you look at that book that they handed out, there's a page on there that tells you that. They do the exact same thing. They send a letter, then a subpoena, and then they take them to court if that doesn't work. So that's what we're doing, and I think that's much more efficient and effective.
Thank you, Mr. Fate. You had another question?
Yeah.
Can I add to that? I'm sorry, can I
I'm
add?
Go
sorry,
ahead.
if we're talking about the court, I realize I'm not on this committee, but I just want to say, in 2003, Judge Space hired me part-time to do nothing but tax collection cases, because there were hundreds of them. And 90% at least of those were people who had just not filed their return, they didn't owe any money, Dixie Dyer already had their W-2, and they owed a $25 late filing fee. The court absorbed all the costs for those cases.
Yeah.
We didn't charge the city anything. And those people came over and paid their $25 and either wrote on the affidavit that said, I no longer live in the city, or they filed their return. In 2016, this council adopted an ordinance that was an Ohio standardized ordinance that changed the ability of the tax administrator to prosecute people for not filing the return. That provision of the old ordinance was taken out, and yet I was still getting cases where people were being brought to court criminally. So now they're gonna have a criminal record because they did not file a return. And I said very clearly to the prosecutor, this provision of the law is no longer in the statute. You guys adopted something different in 2016. We cannot prosecute people for not filing their returns. You can do all these things, which I agree are 100% more effective. But the idea that the court just said, oh, I don't want to be bothered with these, That was not it at all. And so then they said, well, we still have some people that we want to bring for not filing their returns. And there may be these ones that she's talking about with the businesses. I mean, I don't care if you bring those or not. If there's probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed under the laws of the city of New Philadelphia and the state of Ohio, then the prosecution will go forward in my court. But the problem was that the couple of cases that were brought, I found that there was not probable cause to believe that this person, I had no way of determining whether they owed tax to the city of New Philadelphia or not. And that is the threshold now under the 2016 law. So I just want to squelch forever the idea that the court just didn't, they can be annoying when they come in by the hundreds, which is how it used to be under Tax Commissioner Dyer. Stacks. But the idea that the court does not, I mean, what she's talking about, if they are brought to us to prosecute and there's probable cause, then those people will be prosecuted, but.
But that's been the problem. We didn't have probable cause on those ones. And that's just where we were. Without probable cause, you can't prosecute. So we've been doing it that's why I implemented this procedure, which, as I said, is the exact same thing that we're
Therein
doing.
is why I'm not in law. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm not trying to make it complicated, but I have heard repeatedly, judge just doesn't want to be bothered with this. I mean, those are probably the
You can't
easiest
do what you
cases that
can't
I can
do.
deal with all day
Yeah.
long. So,
Yeah,
um,
okay, thank you, Your
for
Honor,
letting me-
I appreciate that. You had another question, Mrs. Ramos?
I think Heather wanted.
Yes.
I just want to add on to that, and I appreciate you clearing that up with us. And it wasn't until recently that, within this last year, that we, in the income tax department, realized all of this. And now that's what we're trying to
Mhm.
work together on this. And it was only, like Carly said, just in the last couple of weeks that she actually, well, she got the subpoena, but then we're going a different route. Anyway, Rita said in that meeting that they will not go any further than the subpoena. That once they get the subpoena, if they do not file their tax return, they're not going any further with it either. And they'll charge us the $1.
To mail a
and then-
letter.
And then it just will lay dormant until, at least if it's in-house, if we see the probable cause, I think we could pursue that. Am I correct in?
Well, it's a little bit different. It's not a criminal matter. When she,
It's civil.
yeah, when she issues an order, if they fail to violate that order, I would file a case in front of the court as a civil matter for them failing to follow a lawful order of the income tax administrator to provide the records requested.
Okay.
And then that's what
So
happens.
we
It's-
could continue to pursue it if
We could.
Okay, but Rita will not. They said they would not pursue that.
Another
Yeah.
question.
Another question and one statement. What I understood from Rita presentation last year, I forget his name, it was Italian or something.
Claudio?
Claudio. Okay, what Claudio said, they only go 3 years back. And I think we go back further than that.
Statute of
Yes.
limitations.
They say they'll send out a non-file for 3 years, but they'll go back 6 years, and that's what I do. We go back 6 years. So I'm doing the same thing as them. So yes, they'll send out a non-file, but they could possibly go back 6 years, just like I do.
Oh, okay, thank you for clarifying that. And I did 2 things in my research, which is still ongoing. I called some of the cities that Mr. Rippeth had given me and left 2 messages.
You got that too, did you?
Yeah, I did. So, but I did talk to Middleburg Heights, which is a charter city,
Mhm.
and we are statutory. So I got my list of statutory and went through that and to read the list and comparing that. I'm gonna make calls from the statutory. So the list that you gave me were all charter.
Can I ask you a favor? Check with the mayor so that we aren't bothering the same cities. See
Oh,
who he's
okay.
spoken with.
Yeah,
That was why I
this is
kind
my
of
list.
divided cities. I didn't want 3 of us calling the same people.
Yeah,
And,
I understand
So
that.
if you would check with the mayor to see who he's already spoken with, I would appreciate
So
that.
I called Middleburg Heights.
Okay.
And talked to their financial director. I couldn't ask all your questions because they've been with Rita since the beginning. So they didn't have a tax department before, so,
They just chartered with them.
yeah, they're a charter and they just went with them. He said that their income tax is, they collect $25 million a year. So that's significantly more than us. But they also had, their building department and their fire department let the tax people, the RETA people, know that new people come in, and I don't know that we pulled the fire department in on that. When they go out for inspections, fire inspections, so I'm like, well, that's a good piece of information to have.
Something we can build with.
Yeah, and, so that's, and what I got from him is, they do pay the 3% retainer, and then, and then they get a return, a refund on that 3%, which can affect their cash flow, cause that's upfront, and they only pay you back one
I
time a
believe
month.
in May.
Theirs is 1.05%
Is what
of
they're
the
paying.
25 million.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Rita posted like 1.04 last year was what they were charging,
Yeah.
so. If
And
they're
he
doing
said
any subpoenas,
1.05.
yeah,
We're probably rounded.
could be.
So that's the information I got so far, but I'm gonna keep working on this.
Yeah,
And I
please.
can talk to the mayor to see who.
Yeah, I would just ask that you don't reach out to the same cities, we don't need enemies.
Well, yeah, but he can also let me know since he knows we're doing research.
True.
And I don't know, Dan got the same list I did. I
Yes.
just don't know if he made any calls, so maybe we did call people. So I'm going to be looking at statutory cities, cause there is a difference. Usually the charters have a bigger tax base. Around our population size.
I appreciate your effort, thank you. I'm glad you're making those calls, as I've done some reaching out as well. Dan, did you have anything you wanted to add?
As for like just the typical taxpayer, from what we understood that Rita is pretty much connected to the person that's just gonna do a simple file, TurboTax or.
Right,
You
right.
know, I mean, so more of the heartburn, like Chris said, is coming back as far as the
Special
business side.
cases, yeah.
Not necessarily the average citizen in Philadelphia.
Example for me, at my office, I have like 5 employees that are in Rita areas, like, and I've asked
Yeah.
all of them, and they're like, oh, no, it's real easy.
That's what I
So,
kinda.
the average W-2, the people that I have talked to, like I said, there's literally like 5 at my office. Don't quote me on that, it could be 4, it could be 6, I don't know.
A handful.
But the ones I've talked to, they're like, oh, yeah, it's super easy. And like, but I've talked to numerous people, and Dennis and Yorksville, wherever, because I think our county, most of them, other than us in Dover, is there anybody?
Good portion of them are.
Yeah.
Even Sugar Creek, Stone
I
Creek.
don't think it impacts, this is
Yeah.
an opinion. From what I've talked to, I don't think it impacts the W-2
And,
employee much.
and
And
I-
it does link to, I believe, like, if you do your own, like H&R Block, TurboTax, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it
You
does.
can link to it.
Too, and it makes it,
Yes.
from what I'm told.
When I was talking to the guy from Middleburg Heights, and I actually went on their website, Rita's website, he said, okay, switch back to the guy from Middleburg Heights. They hold registration events for the people new taxpayers to register. So and all of us would be new to Rita. You have to register on their website. And I looked at the form that they have, which is interesting because it asks, are you a landlord? And who is your tenant? So I'm like, man, maybe we can use that too.
Well, so to piggyback on that.
Please.
Part of the increase in Dennison was the tax collect, and so Chris and I were actually talking about that the other evening, was they got an increase on the rental tax, because it was all getting, not all of it, but some of it was getting missed. So they actually implemented an ordinance that all landlords had to register their properties in the city or in the village, so they could keep track of that. And like, it took quite a while to get there, and I'm sure they still fight new ones here and there, but once they started getting those registered, then Rita took that information and started, you know, bouncing it back and forth and finding all that missed revenue.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's on track, the landlord registration. There were a couple things that's in my committee, by the way, that were, the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do, blah, blah, blah. And locally, one of our judges said, you can't charge a fee. Correct?
Which case are you referring to?
Is Judge Tamakis. Said you can't charge a fee for them to be registered.
They did not charge a fee. They
Yeah,
just
I think that
required-
was Yurksville that was trying to do that.
It wasn't the fee that was the issue, it was the inspections. You can't inspect a property
Well, and
without-
that was the Ohio Supreme
without a
Court.
warrant.
No, she found that the $50 fee that they were
Yeah.
charging was an unauthorized tax.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Somebody in the Ohio Supreme Court did the inspection, so we're working on something that
Okay, let's get back to
is
Rita.
kosher here.
Let's get back to Rita.
Can I just?
If you would, please.
Two comments. On the cash flow issue, the cash flow to the general fund, it shouldn't be an issue because we only post once a month anyway.
I thought you guys switched to weekly.
The
You were
departments
talking
don't-
about
yeah,
that.
Each department would also need to send me a month, or a weekend report, and they're not sending me weekend reports. I didn't ask for weekend reports because I'm only one person in the office and I don't know that I have time, I know I don't have time to.
Okay. And I respect that.
Yeah, and I don't know that each department would also have time to do.
So you're saying
So that wouldn't be.
negligible?
So to
Any change.
piggyback off that comment, I talked to someone that said that was a negative, it only posted monthly. That was one of the negatives made to me, and it's actually not a negative, because that's what we do anyways.
It's a,
Yes.
Because they said
Neutral.
that was one of the negatives, because
Okay.
most cities, I think, are weekly. But we are already monthly, so that actually doesn't hurt them,
Right.
so just,
Yep. And then the second comment
Yes,
was,
ma'am.
I was gonna say something at the council meeting, and it's come up several times, so we keep talking about, licenses and registration, trying to identify the businesses, and that there's no report, but we get a total from the department saying this is what fees we collected for such licenses, or do we get any kind of report that says, do we get a deposit slip that says?
No.
So, okay, I guess I gotta back up a minute. Do we charge fees for new businesses to be registered?
I know the
Not in my
restaurants would use
department.
soft drink licenses.
So, okay, so that revenue has to be, my point is anything that we're talking about, that revenue has to be
Accounted
posted
for.
somewhere. My point is, instead of just saying, nobody gives me the reports, we could go back to them and say, with this deposit detail, or with this deposit total, you need to provide the detail of the businesses. It's available, we would just need to ask
We
for
just
that
have to get it.
subledger.
Yeah, that's one of those internal things that, like Councilman Ramos said, we need to all work together and start passing this information on down to the other departments. And that's just not happening, and Rita is relying on that information as well. If we can give it to Rita, certainly we can give it to our income tax department, or even the health department, or any of those other departments. I want to go back to when you were talking about landlords and tenants. The water, I'm pretty sure the new software will record landlord, I know their old software, the software that Carly's on that's 30-some years old, had tenant rosters, landlord tenant rosters. And I know when I was office manager in the water office, I was sending over monthly the copies of the applications so they could see who the new person is, whether it was an individual buying a house or if it was a business going into that. And it was marked if it was a business or a resident. And I don't think she's getting those any longer. And those would be very helpful. And when I talked to the city of Dover, their application is much more, their utility billing application has a lot more information on it. And their income tax department gets a copy of that application so that it would also give them much more information. So, you know, that's another route where we need to work on is in-house. And then as for the revenue, I don't know if I should start this now, because I would like to go over my notes with everybody, and it's in my notes, but I don't know if anybody else has other questions that, I just, please leave time for me to go over my notes. So I don't know if you're going somewhere else with the conversation.
I was going to ask if any of the other council members, Mr. Sears, do you have anything that you wish to discuss?
I just was, so the money, let's say it's 60,000 for a new system. Is that money we have in an account somewhere we've been putting money aside to save up to buy, or is that something we have to?
I don't know of us having really any accounts where we're saving up to buy much.
And there's nothing for 26. I have budgeted for the 63,000 in the master capital for 27.
Okay,
But I think we said it would be mid-year, because you wouldn't want to make a change at the beginning of the year.
And I also wanna say, this taxpayer software I have, the end of life was before I even walked in the door. So when I got there, and they told me, you're gonna have to look into software. Is the end of life a permanent, is there like I reached out to our contact and I said, is there like an expiration date?
No
Like,
upgrades.
there is never gonna be an expiration date. We could use this and I could sit here and we could have a like bump and we could have a different account where we could then afford, but I have been sitting on this proposal from Mark, God bless him, because he is an amazing man. I've been working with him for 2 years and this price has never gone up. Actually, today it's gone down, but, could I sit here on the same system in 2 years?
I also need
Probably.
to say, I've put it in the master capital budget, but that does not mean that there's money in that master
Right.
capital budget.
right.
It just means we've at least got it on the list.
The other question I had, so, I mean, along with that, is there the software we have is, what, 32 years old?
Yeah.
I mean, I know with our software at work, every 4 or 5 years, there's an update.
They quit doing updates.
So,
That's-
well, I mean with the older stuff, but even this new software that we buy, have they explained, do they tell you up front, like, hey, in 3 years, you're gonna have to shell out another 15 grand, or to keep it
I
going?
wanted to be open and honest, and I wanted to give you all the numbers that I needed to, so I did ask him that $4,500. He did say annually they go off of, what did I say it was? The index,
Yeah,
the
the consumer price
consumer
index.
index. And he says it does gradually go up every year, anywhere between 5 to 7%. And then I asked him, is there a year where it just doesn't go up? And he says that he goes by the consumer index.
So it's inflation.
So inflation's just
Right.
like, I mean, I don't wanna sit here and beat a dead horse, I mean, inflation's everywhere.
Yes,
Sure.
it is.
Harley,
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the same software, is that the same software Dover is using,
correct.
correct? And
Yep.
you, so they've had it and you have someone you can talk to and know
Yes, he
exactly how it
actually
works.
told me there's 3 different places that are super close to us, Dover, Cambridge, and Newark.
Yeah, I thought it was the same one as Dover though.
And
and-
he explained
yeah.
that when Cincinnati went with the software, they increased the revenue. They increased it because it streamlines everything. And then he says that we can also go paperless, so like the bills that I send out every month, I mean, I can have an email in there and it gets sent to the email, so we can lose all of that also. I get W-2s, I get reconciliations, those all can be sent to me and uploaded. I don't have to sit there with all the papers back there and the time that it takes us. But I also, I'm sorry, Brian, but Chris mentioned to me, can I cut my department? Honestly, these girls right here, I'm an open book. Michelle and I talked, she knows how I ran a budget. Can I cut my department? If I got a new taxpayer software, I told you confidently that I could cut it. And we've had these open conversations, because I didn't wanna go blind, just like it was blinded by me with all of this information. These girls know where we stand. So can I cut? Yeah. Do I wanna cut? No. But for the new taxpayer software, I mean, it's manageable. But in 2 years, I mean, if we keep it this year and we budget it and we continue, what else are we gonna give the city? Like,
So, can I comment?
Yes, please.
So the fast thing keeps getting put out there and, you know, I came in here with no indication, and I think Steve was the same way, and I hadn't talked to Dan and Cheryl, but I don't think any of us planned on taking action today. We were having these meetings because we have to have these meetings. I mean, this is the second one. When's the last time we had a meeting twice in 8 days over one topic? Yes, it seems like it's moving quick, but we're having it because this date got thrown out of September.
Yes.
So I just wanna say, because I think everybody wants time in this room,
Mhm.
and I think Carly deserves to have the time. Are we confident to say we're not gonna do this potentially by that date because of the timing? I mean, it does,
I do not see any way possible that we're gonna have all the information we need to meet their September
so
seventeenth
that's what
board
I'm,
meeting.
so I wanna try to get that out there, cause there's, you know, we always, actually, I think Ron used it the other night, the Facebook, whatever they wanna call them. Like, there's people out there and it's getting posted. And Carly, and I get it, you felt rushed. And I, obviously, everybody knows my interaction with the health department. I told Nicole always, I love you're fighting for your department, because if you're not fighting for me, who's going to?
Mhm.
So I want you fighting for your department. But to that same side, you know, plain as day, Mr. Baker knows, you know, did something with the health department. They don't like me right now, but there's a joint respect on building it back. We've given them time, and Nicole's working very, very hard on her budget to cut, and we've given her months.
And has talked to me about some
So
improvements,
I would say in this publicly, Carly probably deserves the
same opportunity.
respect to be able to present something to council, because I believe Nicole plans to maybe in
Mhm.
September, October, to present to council, and she has been working very hard to
Yes.
try to work on that, and I appreciate her coming to our meetings and doing that.
Absolutely, I
So-
do as well.
Is that safe to say, you know what, let's give Carly the same respect to present something potentially to council as we, like,
Certainly.
maybe she has ideas, maybe she can find out more about the software, maybe, and sorry for the staff, maybe there is possibility, to cut that. I just think she deserves that opportunity to present to us as well. And I think at this point, it would be us doing disservice to try to have this happen by September 17th, because he already said it generally takes 6 months.
And that's why I started
I
the
think
meeting
that
saying
helps,
that I
I think
didn't
that
intend
helps
to act
everybody in the
tonight.
room slow down, so I think Cheryl, you definitely felt overwhelmed, because she's like, it's gone, and I know Heather's felt overwhelmed. I don't know if that's the will of the committee, but I feel like that's the will of what I would like to see us
Everybody here
happen.
agrees it's
Yes.
slow.
Yeah,
You don't
and,
need it, yeah.
this just, so if we can get that September date out of
Yeah,
our
it's-
mind for right now, I think that would help,
There's information we still need that we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
yes. So,
Because it's not that I'm overwhelmed, it's just like, I like to have all the information, Steve knows how I am.
Well, and
Uh,
I will say this.
to make a
We are
decision.
never going to have all the information,
Well,
because no
but
one
we
can tell
can.
us whether we're going to increase revenues or not. We just have to look at the dollars we've got and go from
Yeah,
there.
the way it is right now.
Exactly. Yep.
And, but that's interesting, you said if we get new software,
Potentially it increases.
potentially you can cut a position, and you've already talked about that.
And
We're open,
So that would pay for the software,
basically.
potentially.
and then you have savings from that. Where you do lose is, and maybe there is a way, I mean, from the municipalities, cities, whatever you wanna call them, I've talked to, there has been an increase.
yes.
So, again, is there a plan that Carly can present to us? I just wanna give her more time. Just be like, we have honored the health department to
Yes.
give them more time.
And I keep referring to that because I get the same thing
Yeah.
that you've said, Chris. I get, yeah, we, like Urbana, 19%. That's one city. I believe you would consider that probably circumstantial evidence, wouldn't you?
And I
I'd
would-
like to have a little bit more
Greater
than,
weight of the evidence.
yes.
And
And I
that,
want more of that.
I wanna be
And
clear, I'm not-
I know the mayor is working on that.
And I wanna be clear, I'm not advocating one way or the other, so this isn't, I just wanna make sure everything, and the mayor has done research, and I want him to be able to
I want him to
speak.
be here to share that with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
And
okay.
I am advocating. I'm advocating for doing what ends up being the best in the financial well-being of the city. As I am with discussions we've had with the judge, with the health department, and with deciding that we need to look at alternative funding to protect the park fund. I mean, these are all things that we need to structurally look at, because we've been doing something for years and years and years that isn't now working. So we have to make some changes. What those changes are what we have to determine as a body. Yes, ma'am?
I think, like I said earlier, try in-house, I mean, do you need to do this across the city? Tighten it up, what we can do to get more revenue. Now, I know revenues might be decreasing in some sectors, but the most that we can, and do that within our everybody work together. You know, fire department, service director's office, health department, everybody work together on new businesses, even new people coming into town. So we need to try that first, and I would say start now.
I think it's already been going on in many cases. We are focusing on these particular, when I talk about things like the parks, the municipal courts, the fire, the safety services, income tax, what's the common bond there? 101. Their money is coming out of the general fund. The enterprise funds, we need to tighten up. But you know what? The enterprise funds are taking care of themselves right now. We're okay there. We have to find a way to make this general fund work. So we've got to look at every item, and I agree, Mr. Cranwell, we don't have enough data to make an educated decision right here until we've had the input from the mayor on the cities he's talked to, till we've had a chance for Carly to look at every option that we have. I'm all for saving as much New Philadelphia as we can, as long as it's the best financial interest of the city.
And I am glad we are looking into this, because I think we should have a while ago probably, and, because these are the options we have to look at. Just like we had to look at the health department, just like we have to look at, can the courts go back to the county, just like we can look at all those, and, you know, a lot of this is coming up, and I wanna thank Michelle again for coming up with the idea for this budget committee. A lot of this is coming about because Michelle's being proactive to get us in this budget, what we haven't done in the past, so
Right.
I think she needs to be patted on the back again, that we're looking at these things, and we're in August. Like, what
Not-
can we
You mean not
potentially do?
October?
Yeah, well, not.
January?
Not December, yeah, not Christmas Day, and we're coming in on Christmas Eve
I
and not
get you.
being with our families for a special
And
day.
I do.
Yeah,
If I haven't expressed it enough, Michelle, I appreciate your hard work.
so,
You had a question, Mr. Lance?
Not a question, but more of a comment that, I mean, we were told last year that we need to make cuts,
Yes.
that we gotta look at everything. So this isn't a personal thing, this is, I mean, if you see.
It's a process.
We're looking at everything, it's not just you guys, it's,
I think the only thing that really rocked me is when he sat up here and said, we need to have this decision by September, and then
that's if we
legislation.
wanted to do it.
If we
That
wanted to
was
do
By
it,
the
one,
first of the
one.
year,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
He also said there's an
legislation was
on-ramp in
falling.
January, July, and the next January.
well, and I think.
If we
Marvin-
decide to take an on-ramp, we have opportunities.
100%, I fully agree, and if, I
But-
believe that the savings was cost effective, and I didn't believe that
Yeah.
these girls and myself work as hard as we do in that
Oh, I
office.
never
I would-
doubted your
I
work.
wouldn't be sitting here
Yeah.
fighting for my department, but, I mean, things that worked in previous
Yeah.
administrations, I'm revisiting all of that, like
But-
our non-file letters. There was different things that were put into place, and hey, guess what? What I'm doing this year is working, because in the I started sending non-file letters out on 8/10. I've had 40 to 80 people through that office filing non-file letters, and it, like they said, it's not because they don't wanna do it.
Right.
There's people that are moving from South Carolina that don't understand it. There's people that live on streets that, hey, my neighbor's outside the city limits, I'm not inside city limits, and then we use our website. So that's where the things are different. We've had a lot more revenue in the last 2 weeks, and those are facts, so.
And I do want to say, I don't ever want this to come across that I doubted your hard work or dedication, because I don't.
appreciate it.
I will say this, I'm pretty handy with a hammer, but I'm pretty sure that Mr. Lawver builds better houses than I would because he's got more tools. And that's one of the things we have to evaluate. Do they have more tools?
Absolutely.
And are they better equipped? I don't know that yet. I'm still asking that question. But that is one of the things that I'll have to evaluate. I've built some houses, but I can't build them like Lauber Construction or Gorkon or somebody else. That's part of my evaluation. And it may come out that, you know what, I do want an independent builder. Yes,
Well, I'll just continue on that, you know, like, so we were told by the auditor last year that we need to make cuts. Well, the last 2 years, we didn't get to look at the budget till the end of the year. You know, like, we didn't have a proposed budget that, for years, that we would get 4 or 5, 6 months in advance. I mean, a first copy, a first initial, and then told that. So now we're doing that, and now we're getting pushback on doing what you told us to do. That's,
I get you. That's why we sit in the chairs we sit, Dan. We're willing to do it, and I appreciate all of you doing it.
But I-
Is there any, Mr.
I
Sears,
was gonna
yes?
say, I agree with that. I mean, I think that for me, that's the risk we face is, do we invest the money in a new system and try to increase revenue ourselves? Or do we rely on
A track record.
a track record and somebody who already has these things in place? And I mean, you hit the nail.
Nail on the head, I knew that was coming.
But, I mean, I think that's what it's, I mean, cause you see that everywhere.
Yes.
I mean, it's.
The
it's who
efficiencies of
has
scale.
Who has the bigger footprint, you
Yeah,
know?
the
who has
efficiency of
the-
scale.
Right.
Mrs. Ramos?
So what I'm understanding is the September deadline is off the table for right now. We need.
We would have to have
to-
legislation through committee, passes an emergency and up to them by September 17th.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're gonna have the
No,
wherewithal to
I don't
do
like to
that.
pass money things on an emergency. I kind of think that's
mean-
wrong.
And the other thing was they even recommended 6 months, so that not only are we rushing to try to get there, we would be then
Rushing
rushing
them.
to switch
They
over to
said,
Rita.
they said
Yeah.
January or even
Yeah.
June, you know.
Yeah, they said January, July's, okay.
And I will tell you this, in the brief conversation I had with the mayor today, when he explained to me why he wasn't going to be here, he said, I am comfortable with a decision that would lead us to July if we decide to go that way. Not that he's decided to go that way, but he said, if we need to wait and make any changes mid-year, I'm okay with that. So I think even he, I can't speak for him, but I will share with you what he spoke to me, and that is, if we need to slow down and do more due diligence and more research, he is on board with that before we make a decision. Mr. President?
I'm just listening to the conversation, if we don't buy the software, I'm with Cheryl, we need to tighten up, we need to do something now. Seems to me we'll miss a lot of revenue for businesses, because we don't know who they are, where they're at. So if we don't buy the software, I think we could do a much better job of streamlining, so we know when businesses start up and if they're filing the correct taxes or not, so just my opinion.
And I'm glad we're having these discussions that bring that to light.
Can I just,
Mr. Simlick, did you have anything you want to add?
Nothing, no,
Okay.
I agree with Mr. Lanzer that I'm glad we're doing this examination now
Yes.
and not in March. And all of a sudden, we're panicking, but we can't do anything else because we
We're
have
on
a
it.
deadline.
Yeah,
So
we got a
I
gun to
really
our heads.
I appreciate the fact that all these department heads are responding to that as we understand.
Mr. Walker, anything you would like to add?
I'm good, sir, thank you.
You're good? Thank you.
we
Madam
just,
Treasurer?
an update on the budget process. I've got everybody's, I think I've got everybody's now. I haven't had a chance to look at yours yet. Sorry.
You've sent me several spreadsheets that I'm going to have to blow up if you want me to read them.
You can wait till I put the puzzle together and when we meet, but, so, once we, as a committee meet,
Yes.
I'm meeting with the safety director, fire and police next Friday. But once, I have those back and we put it together and we sit down and talk, then we can start to report.
And again, we are going to focus on the 101 right now, more than anything else.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, about the tightening things up, I honestly don't, like, just my opinion, safety director's not here, but like, and the service director's not here, there have been so many cuts.
Yes.
It's the revenue
Mhm.
that's lagging. So I don't think we can ask either one of those departments to cut anymore.
Not cut, communicate
Well,
with the other departments. That's what I'm talking about. When I say tighten up for the income tax department, it's more that every department communicates with them who's here. This business just got a license. I don't even know if we charge a fee for that. These people moved in. This business went out, one came in, et cetera. We want to capture all the revenue that we can.
auditor, go ahead.
So I have my list of notes here, just some of the things that I've,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading through those because I did not get that chance yet.
So, the number one was, we're talking about savings in the office, but we haven't even been told what, are you closing it completely? Are you going to have one or two people in the office? I mean, that would determine a big part of your savings.
Right.
So, you know, that's something,
And this gives the
I
mayor
haven't.
time as well, and he
Okay.
did mention that.
You were
To
in the
come up with a
budget
plan.
meeting with Carly and I, and she's already budgeted for cuts, so regardless, you're gonna have some savings,
Right.
right?
yes, but is it the savings that, it's probably not gonna be the savings that you're expecting from Rita, but that's, I'm just asking,
Well, and
you know,
there are
for that
payoffs.
to be a consideration.
There
So,
are balancing acts there
Yes.
that have to be done.
And the monthly revenue collections, and I wanted to go down through and explain, what I've learned about the monthly revenue collections. So, you know, whatever the revenue is they bring in for that month, they're keeping the 3% retainer. They will also keep all the refunds from, any filings from that month. And Rita can hold the refunds for up to 90 days. We also can hold the refunds for up to 90 days. But we typically get them out at month end or the week after month end, because there are times where I needed to not do refunds for, say, for the month of January, because I needed to allocate more revenue to other funds. So I shorted income tax so that I could put more revenue into other funds. That takes this option out. And then I would just turn around and wait, once we close the month, the next week, we could do the refunds. So the taxpayer may only be seeing 2 or 3 days, a delay on their refunds. But they'll hold those refunds, and they will collect the interest from the bank on those refunds and that 3% retainer. Their deposits, so that the deposits that they receive.
Can I ask a question there real
Yeah.
quick? If we have 90 days, I don't mean to be a nasty nanny here, but wouldn't it behoove us to hold them for 90 days and gain the interest? What would we be looking at,
Yes.
Michelle? Out of $25,000 refund over 90 days.
It's
Is
a
it,
few dollars,
huh?
a couple $100 maybe.
Is that all? Okay.
On 25,000?
Yeah, if we would, I'm looking at monthly refunds that are here that,
We
I
had
s-
$300,000 in refunds
Right.
last year, or 202 if you don't count the one we carried over from the prior year. But now.
and that would not be violating any statutes that's given to
No.
us.
It's-
And I
it
understand
just
you're
makes
trying to
us
be nice.
uncomfortable, you know,
Yes,
they
I get
do a
that.
refund, they
And I
filed.
and I guess I just want to clarify, so you put on here, Rita can hold refunds for up to 90 days,
Yeah.
but we don't know that they actually do that, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
and we can do it also, we just don't.
Don't.
Don't
Okay.
usually.
Right.
yeah. But again, that, the 3%.
I'm just
retainer-
playing devil's advocate,
Yes,
by the way,
no, yeah,
Heather.
no, I get that. The 3% retainer that they're keeping and the refunds that they're keeping, we don't see that in the bank, so we don't earn the interest on that. And that would be about $500,000 for the year. I want to be clear, the retainer and the refunds are $500,000 a year, and then whatever the interest on that would be, we would not receive that.
Which I will say, Claudio did say, that's how they reduce the amount of percentage they're charging us, is they apply that interest revenue first and then charge the cities. So in a sense, we are getting the benefit of that in the reduced cost that they pass forward to us. So it's accounted for.
But to be clear, you did not research to see if they're holding it for 90 days. I just want to be clear.
He said they can up to 90
Well,
days.
yeah,
They
but we
don't usually.
can as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
That's what I
Right,
mean. So
right.
I just want to clarify though,
Correct.
And
you're
I will
saying they
clarify
can,
And I'm
you're
not
not saying they do.
keep
Mr. Carnival, I will
that to
clarify
earn
that.
interest.
Well, I
Yeah.
just,
Before we meet again.
didn't
I
want
try to
yeah.
keep fact away from opinion.
Yes.
Like, when he came in here, you know, he said he was giving numbers, and I just like what Steve said at the beginning, I like fact, just because they can doesn't mean they are, just because we can, we aren't, but we still can, so I just wanted to make sure that.
Yes, and
Okay.
they, right. I'm
Because you
just-
build in money that they're
And I'm
making.
not saying that
but
they're
we
It
don't know.
almost sounds
Yeah.
like something legally, they put that in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
case.
I'm not saying they
Yeah.
do keep it for 90 days just so they can earn interest. I'm just putting that out there that they can keep it for 90 days, we could keep it for 90 days. They're
Thank you.
going to earn the interest, we're not going to earn the interest. I didn't mean that they were
Yeah.
going to. But also the distributions then, so the money that they receive in January, we will not receive it until, we'll receive the deposits that they receive from January 1st through January 20th. We'll receive our portion on February 1st. And then they'll do a reconciliation, and the revenues that they receive from January 21st through January 31st, once the reconciliations are, once they've done the reconciliations, then they'll deposit that second distribution around February 10th. Because we're cash basis and we receive those revenues in February from Rita, on our books, we report 0 revenue for January. So that each month then will be delayed a month.
It's at one time, right?
No,
Yeah, because you have
I
the
mean,
rollover from December the second time around.
Yes, right, so this, for 2027, we'll only have 11 months of revenue. The later years, we'll have the 12 months, but it's always a month behind. So in 2027, we would lose a month of revenue. So on that chart, and since it was small, I made it a little bit larger. This is kind of what we're looking at. The actual revenue is what hit our bank, the actual refunds is what we paid out. So then we've got the Rita revenue, it will be delayed 1 month. So where we saw a revenue of $11,144,922, we, once we delayed that by a month, and they kept their 3% retainer, and they subtract the refunds, at the end of the year, we would see revenue of $9,821,199.37. That's what we would see as revenue in our bank.
Based on the current taxpayers.
Not-
That's if we had implemented
Based on
this in
20.
Not including the 10
2025,
to
this is what we would have seen.
2%.
Would we not be depositing in January the money we collected in December?
Not the
Well,
first
for
year
the
because
first
we're
year.
starting it.
If
But
it
we would
started
get
in
double in
July, it might
February.
be
Pardon?
July.
We would get double in
No, we would
February.
not get back, no.
How you
It
figure?
will always be a month behind. So what we get in February in deposits,
We're going 1 month without.
right,
Yeah, but, yeah, I mean, it's
but
gonna
it will
catch up.
always be delayed, it will always be delayed. We won't catch it up, I mean,
It's like my paycheck.
because then what
Yes.
we receive in December
Rate will increase.
will be recorded on next year's revenue.
I
So we
mean, maybe
won't-
that's a question for Claudio,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't seem like, I don't know how I could, you just would lose a month of revenue. I mean, you would have to make it up somewhere.
I sent him an email on Friday, No, yes, Friday, and I have not got the
Okay.
reply. I sent another email.
I mean, it's an interesting
or
point,
Another question on Sunday, and I haven't received a reply.
Eventually it'll catch up with
Yeah.
that
Yes.
first year.
You see?
So the following year, we would have 12 months of revenue, but
Right.
it'll be 1 month from the prior year, and then the
If we wouldn't
December
have the 1
revenue.
month the first year, we would have 13 months of revenue the next year.
Right.
No, we would have 12 months of revenue the next year.
You're gonna lose a month, you're gonna lose part of it.
So we won't catch it up in 1 year, it will always be delayed a year. I hope, let me see, I
Okay.
confirmed this with Ray and Associates, that this is how we'll need to record this.
But, I mean, we're still collecting, I mean, the citizens are still paying
Right.
tax.
Yes.
The money doesn't go away. It just,
It's
it's
just-
delayed.
January's funds throughout the city, we're not going to have this revenue hit January's expenses on our ledgers. And I know last January, February, and March, I had many sleepless nights wondering if we were going to, but
So it sounds like July first is more ideal anyway then, because you're not
Mm-hmm.
worrying about balancing your budget
And we can build.
Yeah.
You have to think about July first start date though. You do have to file 2 tax returns then. You'll have to file one with the city and then one with Rita. So your taxpayers are gonna be filing 2, and I don't know how you would.
I think the filing doesn't start until the beginning of the year. I think the January or July date was just to start the
The transition.
transition.
To start
where the
in
money was
January
processed.
next year.
Yeah, I don't think the filing started in July.
He said he could, yeah.
July or
Yeah, he could roll
January
it.
or July. And I clarified that then you would have to file 2 tax returns. 6 months in the city and 6 months with Rita. And I don't know exactly how you file a tax return with 6 months because one of my employees tried to, but we had to figure it out personally because Rita's a lawyer. I don't know, but I do know that you would file 2 then.
Maybe clarify if we said, yeah, we're gonna do this in July.
It's on my
When's it
question
gonna
list.
start, January 1?
Well, that would be a no if we gotta do that. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you just go to January
Yeah,
Yes.
2028.
Like, we could
Yeah,
start the
because that's
process,
a tax
but
year.
you could start the process, but you wouldn't.
you really need to prepare and build up our bank so that our funds, so that that first month of revenue that we don't, where we don't record that revenue, we need that cushion, because we're living
Carryover.
paycheck to paycheck right now.
That's what I'm budgeting for the carryover for every department to cover their first month of operating expenses.
And then, so I just wanna make sure you realize that there's gonna be a month delay where that first year, we're only gonna receive 11 deposits and, or be able to record the 11 months of income.
Do you feel like we're gonna get an increase in revenue though, if we were to switch?
If we were to switch, I do not see that in the first year or two, because the very first year you switch, they do not charge, they don't do delinquents, and they don't charge any penalties and interest. In 2025, part of that $102,000 of that revenue was penalty and interest. So we'll miss out on $100 and some thousand in penalty and interest, and like Carly said, you know, since we're all got a plan on going after these non-filers, she's collecting delinquents and penalty and interest, so if it, they won't go after them for a year. They won't charge any penalty and interest. So that would be somewhat lost, I don't know if you want to call it lost revenue.
Deferred income.
Yeah, well, it's not even deferred because they're just not gonna collect it. They'll have them file and they just won't collect any penalties and interest for a year. So then also, we have the situation with the Attorney General where we have $139,577.30 at the Attorney General's office for the tax years of 2016 through 2022. Rita does not want those They want us to continue to do those in-house. They would transfer the 2023 and the 2025, and they would just flag those accounts to sit there and not do anything with them, just wait and collect Attorney General. I don't know how that would work with the Attorney General, if they would send some to us and send some to them, or if we would actually just need to keep all of the Attorney General's current Attorney
If they're saying
General.
we need to do them in-house, the Attorney General would have to send that money to us then.
But if Rita takes the 2023 to 2025 balances during the transfer, but they won't transfer prior to 3 years, I don't know how the Attorney General will know, these ones we need to send directly to the city of New Philadelphia, these ones we need to send to Rita.
Mr. Chair? Are
Yes,
these
sir.
questions that she could get you and then you could
I will
contact?
follow up with him,
Let's
yes.
have, yeah, that way, because we don't know the answers, we're just going down through this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we don't have to rush it, can we just follow up and see what their response is? Maybe you get the questions
Yeah. Well,
to Steve and you get them answered?
yeah, that's what Claudio is the one that told me they didn't want the
Oh,
balances
okay.
prior to the 3 years.
We can get a
And he-
synopsis.
yeah.
and-
Yes.
And he's the one that said they would just flag this current 3 years as, you know, don't do anything with it. And they'll just sit and wait for Attorney General to send them the money for those 3 years. But like I said, now that I'm saying this out loud, I don't know how the Attorney General would know which ones to send to us and which ones to send to Rita. So that might be a question for Claudio.
And I'd be glad to forward any questions, because he has been very good about getting back to my emails.
Oh, okay, great. So, with where we don't know if we're gonna see a savings, or if we're gonna owe at the end of the year. Kind of like the Jefferson Medical Plan, where we thought we were gonna start to see a savings within 2 to 3 years. And, we started the Jefferson Health Plan in April 2023 with a balance of negative $4,565. In June, we had a balance of, our statement said negative $94,158.29, but they made an error and deposited another city's payment of $351,000 to our account. So we're actually negative, for June, negative $445,291.15. We have now, since then, received our July statements, which were still negative $251,524.54. So we keep going up, and
Those large claim reimbursements are always a month behind already.
this 251,000, I'm pretty sure, included that large claim reimbursement.
My understanding was is they're always operating on a month behind too, so it's.
Oh, yes, but this has been 3 years and we're still carrying
A
negative.
negative balance.
Yes, like I said, last month was negative 445, this month's negative 251. It does, it goes up and down, but most months
Well,
it
the
hasn't, we
negotiated-
haven't started seeing a,
Won't the changes in the negotiated premiums that the employees have to pay offset that?
no. I think what would offset this is if we would pay more on our.
I'm
Yeah. Sorry,
gonna
we're
ask a
getting off track,
stupid question
yes.
here. I'm not, is this a Rita expense that we're talking about?
No, I'm just saying,
Just by
we're
way of
talking
a,
about- yes.
okay.
We were
Or
hoping
the
that
general
Jefferson
fund.
Medical,
Yeah.
we would see within 2 to 3 years,
Okay, point taken.
and that's
Okay.
what, with this.
Point taken
Yeah.
that there is a chance.
Yes,
Now, I will say, looking at past history over the last 8 years, they're gonna have a really, really big change, because it's been 1.22% of revenues. So history would say we're not gonna see the same thing. That it's going to be in that 1 to 1 1/4 range.
right, that paragraph above though was
Yeah.
just, pointing that out, that
I
we're
get
not gonna
that-
get the penalty and interest, we're gonna be delayed a month, so we're only gonna receive the
Understood.
11 months, and then the Attorney General that will
Yep.
lose out on. But, so
Okay.
then their transactions, they're withholding payments, we have many businesses that, pay us monthly rather than quarterly, so that's part of how they calculate what our expenses were, because, if we have an employer that pays us 12 payments instead of 4 payments, that's going to be factored into our expenses, and then you know, the amount of our, number of accounts that we have for net profits, individuals, our reconciliation, our estimated payments, and then the payment plans. They set up payments, and he said they often set up payments for 12 months. And so that will add to our transaction count to 12. Now, when somebody comes in and they file their August tax return with us today, because we got a delinquent letter, Carly typically, if it's a larger balance, we'll give them just until they get their federal refund in April. So that would cut down on the amount of transactions here in our office, but they would, you know, charge more. Those are things that would be beyond our control. And I'm not saying,
But probably something they have dealt with over and over and over.
yes, but it's
So
another
something they're
expense,
qualified to
though,
handle.
that's beyond our control. We
Mhm.
have no control over those expenses once they are transferred over to Rita. Oh, and then when it comes to payment plans, if somebody comes in, you know, she'll give them the payment plan, but she only gives them a payment plan once every 5 years, because once you've made your payment plan and you know you owe balance, you know you owe it every year, so you should pay it in full whenever you get your tax return. And then they were saying that 10 to 15% revenue found. I think most of the places I talked to, they thought it was from the IRS data that they received. And like I said earlier, I would think that the State of Ohio Department of Taxation also receives that IRS data, which then would be passed down into that State of Ohio list that we already received.
But we don't know that for sure, correct?
Do not know that for sure, no.
And we are not currently using that, so that is.
We are currently using that.
Yeah.
Yes, we are currently using the State of Ohio list, and that's where they are finding many people, and that's where then Ohio Revised Code 718.23 comes in, where her office has the authority to demand that they bring in their federal tax return, so we can see what type of revenue that we are missing. And then,
Has that resulted in increased revenues over the past 2 years?
which part?
Are we utilizing that to
We have
increase our?
used that since I was in that office in 2000, I left that office, I think, in 2012, so we've used.
So you're saying they probably won't find any that we're not getting?
Yeah,
yeah.
we probably,
Hmm?
The Ohio list, so they were using it, but they weren't using it in a way that I just implemented it as
Okay.
of this year, and that's where we're seeing the increase.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes,
Thank you.
okay.
they weren't using it accordingly, so I have revised and removed it, so yes, we will see an increase.
Will that also take people off of our mailing labels that haven't lived here for numerous years? Because I get a label for my daughter who hasn't lived here for 15 years, every year.
Did you call it?
No, I threw it away. I threw it away.
Because we only know the information that we're given, so you have to call in and you have to say, hey, my daughter no longer lives here, okay, we'll close your account.
She can do that. It's her job.
Well, there you go. I mean, there is a lot of people that
Yeah.
go to college,
Yep.
and, I mean, I've worked with people in the city, and a couple people in management, they call in and they say, hey, they no longer live here. As long as I have an address that is outside city limits.
Okay. I didn't know if those would link when you were doing your booking at the state.
Yes.
It popped in my head that I get that every year.
Yes.
Okay.
So currently, Carly actually has someone that just recently, they filed for Rita last year because they got a delinquent letter.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you want, did you already tell them that, what's going on with,
So he moved inside city limits, he has a new Philadelphia address, and his W-2 shows the new Philadelphia address. He filed on Rita because that's what he was used to doing, and so he filed on Rita, and Rita took his return. So I sent him a non-file letter, so when you're talking about the refund process, I'll let you know how long it takes him to get his refund.
Yes.
So, he has to jump a lot of hoops to get this refund, which is exactly how we run our system. But if I would move, I go up to Lacey and I'm like, that's an emergency, so you tell her. So as long as I can see a New Philadelphia address on your W-2 and you live in New Philadelphia, that is, I mean, I work with the Dover office also. I had a recent one that came in. He had a New Philadelphia address, but he never went to his payroll and changed his withholding tax when he was working in outside city limits. So Dover was getting all that money. Called Tammy, great person to work with,
Well, and the whole New Philadelphia address, 44663 for Roswell, and that always makes it
Yeah,
interesting
yes,
too.
and I do believe like they would send out a non-final letters because of, but we use the auditor site and see that you're outside city limits, so your account's automatically closed.
And in the case of her working with the city of Dover, the city of Dover sent her the refund directly. The city of Dover did not require,
So they sent it
Or
to
they-
the person, but she told me when she was sending it, so then.
oh,
she-
gotcha,
she
okay,
sent it
sorry.
over to us, yes,
All
It
right.
had to go through her.
But it was
Yes,
within a
yes.
couple of weeks and,
yes. It was
Um,
less
Okay.
than-
but the guy who's requesting a refund from Rita is having to send,
Approve his, lease contract. He has to send the lease contract and a letter.
Which the opposite side of that coin is they're looking out for us if they were working for us, because, so that's a double-edged sword. Anybody else, council?
oh, can I finish going down through, or do you mean on this one? Okay, so, of the third-party sources that identify and register taxpayers, that question and the next question, the compliance monitoring, construction, and other projects, that was part of the email that I sent and haven't received, the answer. And then number 7, the non-payment, so that's the collections program that they offer. And that's basically, I think just where they send them letters and put them on a payment plan. And then if they don't reply to those letters, they will, send them a subpoena at an extra cost. And then they would go through the litigation at extra cost. And that's where we would turn it over to the Attorney General's, and that would be no extra cost to the city. It would be charged to the taxpayer. And then non-filers, number 8, that's where they said they would send one letter. If it goes ignored, they would send the one subpoena at the extra cost to the city. And if that goes ignored, there would be no further action. And that's where I said we could potentially pursue, and I did say with cooperation, and I'm taking that out because, we finally got in here and we all discussed how this really works, all together. So, but we could pursue this and go further with the non-filers here. Number 9, we will need to transfer the existing expenses to all the other departments. So there's expenses in the income tax department that we charge to the income tax department. And those expenses would not go away. They would need to be picked up by other departments.
SSI's goes away, right?
No.
Because she pays for.
Nope, so she's been being charged all these years for,
Because I thought we talked about you having to pay like
Part of it.
$9,000 a year.
yes.
And
So-
it would drop to like $6,000 a year.
Yeah,
If
so
you-
she's currently being charged more than her share of income tax. For the eGov program. I don't have the number on me, sorry.
The BWC would go away.
The BWC, our premiums are based on prior year's wages. So, I mean, it would be
And everything in number
Over
9
time.
would be a one-time cost from what I'm seeing.
which part?
Number 9, the,
No, yeah, number 9, the Pitney Bowes, that's a lease that we share.
well, I'm
And-
seeing BWC, the possible arbitrations, unemployment,
Yeah, the possible.
those are not gonna be
arbitration-
year over year.
Right. Just
So,
first year, that's what.
that's a one-year bump.
That's what I'm saying, it'll be a couple years before you see savings possibly. But yeah, the Pitney Bowes, that would just be transferred to other departments, we'll have to figure out how to divvy that up. The software, the SSI software, we'll have to figure out how we're gonna divvy that up. The BWC, we're currently paying on those premiums, but we could make adjustments later on down the road. The possible arbitration, that would be a one-time cost. The unemployment, whatever that is, 6 months, I think. That's
I
maybe
mean,
six-
you could look at the handout that the finance chair handed out, showing the total budget of 282,000 and
2025 is what we spent according to our year-end report.
yeah, I mean, those are minimal expenses.
Sure, but there's still expenses that we
Right.
transfer to other departments. I just wanted to make sure that everybody has the
Looks at
information
everything.
that I've gathered.
May I ask a
And that's
favor?
Carly. What's that?
I would like for you, please, to forward me the email you sent to Claudio,
Sure,
so that I get all the information you were asking for.
sure.
And I will harass him.
Okay. And then you know, need to consider the staff bumping.
Yes.
And then leaving Rita,
That's an
The-
assumption that we really
yeah.
can't budget for right
right,
now.
no, but,
That would be
But you
conjecture.
have to
Consideration.
consider it in the
Yes.
cost.
No, it'd have to be
Wait.
considered if we were reconsidering.
yeah.
But does that not contradict what we said, that she's open book and she's already planning on cutting anyway, so the bumping's going to happen?
Cause if we keep it, we're
Regardless
getting
of
a new
the-
software.
If that's what you need to happen, but
If we're keeping it, we're getting a new
I-
software.
I haven't finished my presentation here, but what was the new software part?
I said if we're keeping it, we're probably getting new software. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
And so then there is the new software cost, so we've got those updated costs, right there is the new tax software would be $66,393. The annual amount is $4,400, which is, I believe, is less than what she is being charged right now for the software solutions, for the year. And we do have in there that it will be a 5% to a 7% increase each year, which is the same, the last 2 to 3 years, we've been seeing a 5% increase on our software solutions contract. So she's been paying an extra 5% each year for the software solutions. And just the next few things are things that I wanted to point out that, costs that are in general funds that could potentially be looked at, to see if those can be reassigned, or, you know, there's just hefty costs that are in the general fund that are similar to what their top tax software is. And, you know, the Pioneer programming, the Yodel is our event calendar. We just paid Civic Plus website.
And those are all things we can talk about in
Yes.
the general fund budget process. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just wanted to remind everybody that those were not negotiated, those were just charged, and maybe costs that can be reduced to help alleviate the costs.
And I think it's important that we look at
The
those as
general
well
fund, yeah.
During the budget.
during the budget process,
Yes.
yeah.
Um,
Not in this discussion, because it really
This
isn't a
Rita.
part of this discussion.
And then the very last thing, the 2026 permanent budget, which I didn't know how big that would blow up on that paper, which I made a separate copy. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware of what funds and which departments are affected by the income tax revenue. So where I highlighted blue, her revenue, or her budget, if you take out the refunds, is $316,850 for this past year, 2026. And I just wanted you to visually see all the other departments, what their annual budget was for 2026 also. So there are several departments that have a higher budget than she has, or there's even some departments in there, I think you could probably see those, that, are those really how we should be paying taxpayer money? Or would it be better to leave the income tax department open, where the taxpayer can come and pay their taxes, file their taxes, and ask tax questions? So I just wanted to be transparent on everything
Appreciate
that
that.
is coming on.
Which of those departments would you like us to cut?
You gotta cut the treasurer.
Yeah, that's what I was curious.
Well, I'm not saying cut, I'm just saying consider,
Well,
because
and I will tell you that,
yeah,
Yeah, please
yes,
make
we've
the-
looked at public health, that blew up. But we've looked at that.
Oh, real well.
We
We're
gotta
looking
keep
at parks and
looking at that.
recreation.
Yeah.
We're looking at muni court expenses. Fire and police went 6 months without personnel. I think we've looked pretty well up and down this sheet.
The park hasn't bought a new lawnmower in 2 years.
Exactly.
I mean,
Bucket
So-
truck for the city
Where,
or
how long did we
equipment.
wait for a bucket truck?
yeah,
So
So we
your
had
point is well
airport
taken.
And
But I do want to make the point that those things
cemetery
are
in there
being,
also.
are being done. And they're being done in earnest. I would open the floor to any public comment. I would ask you to keep it to 5 minutes if you're going to make a comment. State your name for the record. All those rules that Mr. Kemp so eloquently puts together for us at council meetings. Is there any outside? I think everybody, almost everybody here spoken anyway, so we've tried to gather as much as we can.
I guess my only
Okay,
question.
if you go to the mic so we can record you and state your name and address, please.
Yeah. Noah, 831st Drive. My only question is, because I think it kind of got quickly glanced over, maybe it's just council doesn't know yet. Are we looking at completely shutting down the department? Are we gonna keep one person on staff still? Because obviously that's gonna have a drastic impact in those overall numbers that you guys are presenting. I also want to say, I'm not against any department. You can ask them. I've said this to some of the other departments too, as these have all come up. I've asked questions on them all, so. That's kind of just what I'm curious, just as I'm trying to look at the numbers, same as you guys
Yes,
are.
and I will answer that to the best of my ability. And that is, I spoke to the mayor today, and one of his comments about his willingness to wait until July or not to rush was that gives us time to plan that transition and decide what that would look like were this decision to be made. So no, can I sit here and say this is what it's gonna look like? That's a decision that the administration's going to have to sit down and develop a plan for.
Right.
He's got some ideas. I've given him some input, I think you've given him some input, Mr. Granville. So, no, we do not have that, and that's another reason that we feel like we really need to
Yeah.
push the brake here.
No, and I
and make
appreciate
sure
the
that
fact that you guys
if
are
we make a
slowing
move, we make
down
it right.
there to figure out
Yeah.
what's the right move. So I was just kind of curious if they knew that aspect yet. So
We are considering that, and that's gonna be an administrative decision on how he wants to move forward, with the support of council.
Yep. Well, I just want to say I appreciate council with, I know it seems like every department you guys talk to, they show up and it's this whole big thing, and I get every department's gonna stand up for themselves, but I also understand that you guys as council have a job to do. And I appreciate the fact that you guys are at least taking the time to have these discussions with the departments and trying to figure out some solution.
Well, thank you, Noah, we want people like yourself to be here we need to hear what you think, so thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I do have one other order of business for this committee tonight, and I should have started with it because then we'd have been done. But I didn't. And that is, we have to approve the resolution accepting the amounts and rates determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary,
And that's a county budget.
that is the county budget, and basically, we have no say in it, we're just essentially approving their numbers, correct?
What's the
Madam
proposed
Auditor?
number on this?
The proposed number is 2026. I wrote it down, Marvin, when you sent it to me.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Maybe the
So,
clerk would have it too.
Yeah, I got it.
is there any discussion, this is pretty much housekeeping, we do it every year.
Good.
Didn't we already do it for 25, 26?
Yes.
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 We
Now, this is
We've done it
number.
every year.
did it.
I mean, we've already done it, what we're supposed to do for 25, 26, this is almost the end of 26.
This is for 2027.
This is resolution.
This is 27.
This is resolution.
Oh, for
25,
27,
26.
okay, got
Yeah,
it.
It affects the 27 tax year.
Okay, got it.
I'm sorry if I didn't
That
clarify
was my
that.
question.
Yeah,
Proposed resolution.
proposed resolution 25, 2026, because I've been known to get those mixed up. Is there any discussion? Is there any action to be taken by the committee tonight?
I move that we add proposed resolution 2020, or 25, 2026 to the next regularly scheduled meeting for first reading.
Madam Auditor, does this need to go as an emergency, or can we go 3 readings?
It's September 30th. How many?
I mean,
We're gonna have to pass
we,
it
I mean, we
before
don't have
September
to say
30th.
that.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of putting it on there?
We can pass it on first reading.
She's trying to confirm it's the right number.
That was the number you quoted in my email that I requested this morning, Mr. Law Director.
I just want to verify. I think that's right, I think that's right, I just want to be 100% sure, because I don't want to type up and just
We
assign a
can,
number.
we can amend that on the.
Yeah.
We're good.
Okay,
26, yes.
Resolution 25.
resolution
Yes, it is
25, 2026. It's tough because you're not allowed to write it on the actual resolution.
Correct.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, we have a second. I am just going to call a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will have that put on the agenda for our next regularly scheduled council meeting. And we'll determine between now and then if we need to pass that as an emergency or not. Any other business to become before this committee? I want to thank everybody for your input tonight, for your patience tonight. You've been here going on 2 hours. I did not mean to keep you from your food. But thank you. This is very important, and I appreciate everybody's input. I would entertain a motion to adjourn, Dan.
So moved.
We are in adjournment at 5:46.